What up, folks? Welcome to another video by DJ Mobile Auto Services. So, customer complaint is every so often she have to purchase a new battery. Ask if I could check it out for her, right? So, it's a 2010 Nissan Tita, aka Versa. So, these tends to have little harness issues and relay issues that cause a parasitic draw. So she just asked, wondering if I could check it out for her because it's kind of getting annoying that she have to be replacing battery every like year and a half, once every year, she said, right? So first I'm going to set up my tester multimeter on the battery and see what voltage we get first, and then I'll be able to determine, is it the alternator not charging the battery, or is it the battery itself that's fault, or something that's remaining on and with pulling down the current. So let me just set up my multimeter real quick. So you can do this with a basic multimeter. You don't have to be like a Fluke and all these high price multimeter. You can just do with a basic multimeter. So you just want to check to see the voltage, right? You want to be able to see also if the vehicle could withstand the load that's put on it. So I'm going to set my multimeter here. This is like my old multimeter, had for years. I'm going to set my multimeter to voltage. It's on auto range, right? So hoping that you see it. I'm going to put the red lead on the positive and the black lead on the negative. Right now we're just going to take a look at how much volts we gain. So right now we gain like 10 volts off this battery right here, right? You could also check to see if you get a voltage drop across the battery post. There's nothing. Do it on the negative side. I'm getting no voltage drop. Right, so we're getting 10 volts on this battery. So let's try to crank the starter and see if what it pulls down to. I won't be able to see it because I'll be the one turning the car right over. So just keep a look at that and let me see what it dropped down to. It be so weak at times that she gotta get a jump. She can't even turn her key. Like right now, it's not letting me unlock because it's not right. I've got it. Alright, so let's see what it gets. Alright, so I'm gonna put my jump pack on real quick. See if I can get a boost. Real quick, let me get this up in here. Alright, so right now with the jump pack on, you saw it jump to 14 point. Oh, it dropped off real quick. Hold on real quick. Let me just press this out. I'm getting, what's that? 0.11 amps going to the battery. So I'm going to try to start the vehicle now. And sometimes the battery be so low, she can't even get her key in. Take this off, and I'm seeing like 17 amps going into the battery, 15. So let's monitor this for a little bit and see the alternator. The cycle is full. Let's see the alternator charges the battery or not. You see the voltage is dropping. This one is good. So right now we gain 6 amps, 6.7 amps, and it's dropping. And as you notice, I'm get you close up. Car is running, and this is not being charged. 12.06 volts, and right now we're getting 2 amps, 2.6 amps. What I'm supposed to be looking at is at least 20, I would say 15 to 20 amps going into the battery. And then again, I'm down to 1. So basically it looks like the battery is faulty so far because the alternator is trying to boost the current going to it, but it's not taking it. It's not keeping it charged. As you can see, it's 12.04. Right, so this is a quick test you can do to see if is the battery is the issue or is the alternator the issue. Right, and right now the alternator is trying to pump current into the battery, but he's not taking it. So most likely it's probably have an internal, the plate's probably ground off internally or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm just gotta do some homework on it, but as you see, the car is running and the voltage is dropping drastically. And this is 1.3 amps, which is nothing going into the battery. So that's telling me that this is a faulty battery so far. The alternator is doing what it's supposed to do. The next check we can do is I can do a parasitic draw. I will do a parasitic draw, but it don't make no sense to do a parasitic draw while the vehicle is in this state, because right now it's definitely undercharging. Right, and it's going to damage the alternator or the battery, the next battery I put in. So let me cut this off. Matter of fact, let me just step on the X a little bit and see if it increases. Well, it didn't. So let me cut this off and let's take this off, and then we will tell the customer that you gotta replace the battery, and the voltage is dropping off like drastically and the car is off. And it only was pumping out like 2-3 amps. So this battery is too weak for me to do my test on. So I'm gonna have a used battery. I'm gonna just swap it out real quick before I confirm that she need a battery. Actually, she do need a battery. I'm not even gonna play around with this, right? But I'm getting 7.3 volts right now, which is not even good enough to start the vehicle. So the voltage dropped drastically, and the vehicle is still running like not even like 2 seconds ago. Right, so I'm gonna put a scan tool on it and see what I'm getting. I saw the check light come on. Sorry about the glare. Hold on real quick. I'm getting a P0340 camshaft position sensor circuit. I'm getting a P0300 code. I'm getting a P0301 cylinder misfire number 1. Misfire detected. I'm getting a P0335 crankshaft position sensor A code, right? So as I said, I'm not sure if that's coming from the low voltage from the battery, but I'm gonna switch this battery out and then I want to take it from there.
2 hours later.
Alright, so the customer basically gave me the okay to go ahead and replace the battery, seeing that we do have to have a good battery to test. So I'm just gonna replace it out here. I got a smaller one actually, right, smaller than what she had in. I'm just gonna make sure all the pulls are tightened properly, and I'm gonna redo my checks, and then I'm gonna, clear all those codes that could have came from, came from low voltage, right, and throw in the misfire codes. New battery installed. I'm getting 12 volts. I'm also amperage is like 6 amps going into the battery, but remember now this vehicle was having battery issues, so I'm going to start this vehicle and leave it for a while. Alright, so start it right up, much better. I'm not seeing no check engine light. Remember we got some codes for crank sensor, cam sensor. What else we got codes for? We got codes for cylinder number 1 misfire, P0300. So is it that because the voltage was so low that it basically through codes. You know, so I'm just gonna let it run a little bit while I monitor the charge. I'm seeing right now I'm getting like 4 amps. Let's try this. Let's do this over. Notice the vehicle have a slight vibration. So right now you're seeing the amperes going up to 10.85, but my voltage is low. Right, let's leave it for a while. Let's let the vehicle let the battery recharge, and then we're gonna recheck again and see what's going on. Could it be that the driving with the bad battery so long could have caused the alternator to start to mess up and have the vehicle like under charging and getting those codes shown on, right? I'm getting like 6 amps. My voltage is like 12.8. I expected to see it higher, but let's give it a while to build back up and replenish and see if that makes a difference. Want to see if the check engine light is on. Yes, it is. I'm gonna read codes. So I'm getting a P0301 cylinder misfire code. And I'm getting a misfire on P0300 code. So I'm getting a misfire code, and you're actually seeing the vehicle shaking up. Right? Is it the signal is missing? I'm not sure. But I don't like how this alternator is charging at all. Only 11 amps going into this battery. So I'm supposed to be seeing more. I don't like all this charging. This is a brand new battery. Alright, so what else can I do here? Let me just rev it a little bit and see what's going on, or I can, matter of fact, let me pull out my scope and see what's going on with that cylinder. When you had the old battery on, the customer said she wasn't getting that issue, having that issue before. You see number 4, see number 3, look like the plugs need to change, and you see number 2. Right, so number 2 could be getting the misfire, the multiple misfire, because the spark have nowhere to go. But look at number 1. Try to go on the side here. Not looking too good. I'll give you a better shot. So why am I getting that why I'm getting that P0301 code? Number 4. My whole thing still hasn't charged this battery up. It's been running for a while. I'm only pumping out 5 amps. So I believe that we may have to pull the plug on this alternator also. See what's going on. It's like the alternator is not charging a battery, or is it? Let me see the battery sensor again. Right, so this is a brief overview of a 3-wire alternator that you see in an old model Nissan. Yeah, so the first wire is a heavy gauge wire that carries the current from the alternator to the battery to replenish the battery. And the second gauge wire is just a smaller one that's coming from the Hantek side. That's a sensing wire. So the IPM box goes through the IPM box on some vehicles, and the ECU uses that to let the alternator know to step up or step down, right? Basically, remember, it's a generator technically. And the third wire is the light. Let's say the light that you see on your cluster. That's that light bulb, right? So when say for instance that there's a discrepancy when the between the alternator and the fuse current that's coming in, right? The light will come on, and then it will let you know, yo, something wrong with your battery or something wrong with your alternator. So this is a 3-pin wire, and some new vehicles carry the 4-pin wire, where they have a next wire that goes to the IPM box, and that is also controlled via the CAN network, right, to reduce or increase the load, right? But that's the next story. So as I said, we're just going to focus on this one, which is a 3-wire. So let's get back to the video where I'll continue to just diagnose this vehicle and give it to the customer. So what I did, I removed the battery current sensor, and it shoot back up to 14 point. So the alternator is charging. So is it a faulty battery sensor? Still reading like 6 amps. Or is it ECU having problems? Some of this battery current sensor is like the feedback from what's going on coming back to the battery, so the ECU will be able to, you know, like share or dish out, let's say, the current properly. Right now with it unplugged, I'm in 14.23. See, too many people call the alternator and the sensor here is the fault. How much amperage am I getting? 5 amps pumping into this battery. Switch it off, put it back on. Let's zero this over. Being like 5 amps, 5.5 amps. But I gotta fix that cylinder misfire, man. Where that's coming from? Is it a cord? Is it an injector? P0301 cylinder misfire. In a P0300, I'm getting a P0301 cylinder misfire, right? Generic. What could it be? Check light is on. What could it be? Could it be coil? Could it be spark? Alright, so with the vehicle off, I'm reading 12.7. Just monitor that for now. Alright, but I gotta go after that coil misfire. First thing I'm gonna say, you know, is my car wasn't like that. I'm not saying the person gonna say that, but it didn't have it. And then it happened to come in the shop, and all of a sudden, like, you know, things just going haywire. Right, so what I'm gonna do is gonna scope all the coils and see what's happening in the coil. If it's a coil, is it an injector not contributing? Could that happen from low voltage? Yes, as you saw, it did have a crank sensor and a cam sensor code, and it didn't have that before, right? So when the voltage dropped too low, right, because when I checked it the first time, it was like 3 volts, right, and it was so low that it triggered the code. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to just scope all the injectors. I'm going to put this back on. I'm reading 12.2, I said probably 12.1. So as you can see, we're getting the signal for each injector. Right, so I'm not worried really about the injector, but I'm going after that coil to see what's going on. So let me pull out my secondary waveform probe and see if I'm picking up anything. I know you guys, just like me, hate it when a vehicle comes in for something as simple as a parasitic draw and ends up being a whole troubleshooting, diagnosing case study where I'm going after coils and injectors and things that doesn't concern me, to be honest, because, you know, not concern me, but you know what I mean, like, you know, you came in for something simple, and now I'm probing into things that wasn't there. I'm set off on number 1 coil, and I'm not getting any secondary waveform off number 1. And now I'm going to go on number 4 right here, and you see in that red spike, so I'm getting secondary waveform off number 2 and number 3, number 4, but I'm not getting anything off of number 1. That is, wow. Like I said, man, came in for something and ended up being something else. So I'm going back on number 1 again. So you hear the vehicle misfiring. I'm set off number 4 here, and as you see, I'm getting a signal, which is the red spike that you're seeing. And that's my secondary waveform for number 4. I'm gonna go and go on number 3 next. But when I go on number 1, let's set it up here. I'm not getting anything at all. And this is what led me to go after number 1 in the first place. So is it that it's losing signal or something? I'm not sure. What I'm gonna do, I got this coil out. I'm gonna easy to unplug it and put a spark tester on it and see what is going on. My spark tester, unplug number 1, and basically this is supposed to, let's try to do it with my one hand. Basically it's 3/4 of an inch, so I'm supposed to be able to jump this gap if I got a good coil, right? So let's see what is going on. Let's start the vehicle up again. Right, and you see that it's firing. The question is, why is it not firing in the hole? Alright, just shut it off. Alright, so we see number 1 is firing outside. So the question is, why is it not firing while it's in the hole? I'm gonna go down to, let's say 20 kV. That's the minimum. And you see that it's firing. So that means I'm getting good signal, I'm getting good ground, I'm getting good everything. So why is it not firing in the hole? So what I want to do next is trick the car into believing that everything's locked up, right? The doors are locked, the ignition is off. I'll remove my scan tool. That tends to keep vehicles up also. Basically communicate with the modules. The only thing I can't control is the hood right now, but I'm watching my amperage is 0.08 amps, right? Alright, so I had the vehicle sitting for probably like a few hours, and I'm getting 0.07 amps, right, which is really good. I'm also gonna check the battery and see what voltage I'm getting. Right, I'm just hook up my leads real quick. You can see we're getting 12.5, right, which is really good for a new battery, well, of this size. So it's don't have no drain or no draw at this present time, right? So I'm gonna tell the customer that the car is ready to come and pick it up, and let's see what happens overnight. If it happens again, then I will take it and have to really check for parasitic draw. But as you can see right now, I'm getting 12.5 on the voltage, and I'm getting, hold on real quick, I gotta zero this. I'm not really getting no draw on this the amp clamp, right? So we're gonna call that a fix for now, right? So we had a faulty battery, right? The alternator is doing what it's supposed to. Matter of fact, let me start the vehicle up and see what I'm getting. Okay, so with the vehicle on, I'm pumping like 10 amps into the battery. say 8 amps. Right, let's switch to the voltage. I'm getting 14.1. So right now the alternator got to kick in and pump that current into this the battery. So with a fresh battery in, car's running, I'm getting 12.6 volts. So what this tells me that you don't want to jump to conclusion and say the alternator is not charging, right? This battery sensor here, if he is faulty, he will be telling the ECU, will be telling the alternator something different. So I'm going to unplug the sensor. I'm going to watch the voltage to see if it jumps up. Let's see if I can get it off. It's running. Hold on, let me see if I can get it off. See what's going on. Alright, so with the car running, alternator supposed to be charging between 13.8 to 14.5, right? Sometimes as high as 15 volts, sorry. But now it's at 12.9, which is like 13 volts. It's a new battery, right? So this battery sensor here that these cars use now could also be faulty and telling the, hold on, let me see if I can pop it off and check the voltage. Alright, so when I remove the sensor, you see I'm getting 14.3 and unplugged it. So I believe that the sensor is the problem, right, and causing the battery not to be recharged properly from the alternator. Because I had some videos that I did previously on this same vehicle where the alternator was struggling to like charge the battery, right? And you saw it was charging like around 11 volts when it wasn't really, you dig? It was easy to condemn the alternator, but knowing that this sensor, battery sensor, current sensor, was the issue. Look, right now I'm getting 14.37 with it unplugged. And when you plug it back in, it's saying that it's charging. So I'm going to make a recommendation that they change the sensor out, right, and take it from there. Right, we're going to change the sensor out. We got a fresh battery in, right, and I believe the alternator is good. It's not the alternator. It has something to do with this current sensor that's not charging the battery properly. Right, so I wouldn't call it a fix. Right, this car doesn't have a parasitic jaw. If I put on amperage right now, I'm going to zero my clamp. I'm going to put it around. Right now I'm pumping like at least 5 amps because I'm pumping like 5 amps into this battery right now. This isn't bad. And now it's 14.3, and before you was seeing like 12 point something. So I'm gonna switch out this battery current sensor and let the customer know what I find.
Approximately 10 hours later.
So I took the vehicle for a spin this morning and I brought it back and park it up. So what I did, I replaced the battery sensor. This is the old one that was in the vehicle. I want to plug this one back in. Right, if you could recall, when it was plugged in, I was getting like, I believe I was getting like less than 12 volts. And when it was less than 12 volts, and when I removed it, I started to get alternator current, which was 14 volts. Right, so we're just going to do our checks again. Put the multimeter here, put it on volts, negative to negative, positive to positive. Let's see what voltage we get. Yeah, 12.75, which is excellent. This is a 7, right? Let's go to current. Let's see if we have any draw. Put it close, 0 it, put it around. I just disconnect the battery, so probably just get a little spike. Right, so let's leave this for a little while and see if this drop off. I'm trying to get like less than 50 milliamps. Let's leave this for a little bit and see what's up. So with the new used battery current clamp on, I'm getting like 70 to 60 milliamps. Right, so I'm gonna leave it sit for a little bit more, and then I'm gonna take it from there. Alright, so with the battery current sensor installed, right, this is the one I just purchased. It's off a used vehicle. You see that we're getting 14.7 volts. Alternator is running. And we had on the old one, we were saying that we was charging at, let's say, 12 volts. So what we had here was a faulty sensor that wasn't allowing the vehicle to recharge. So I'm going to call that a fix. Right, we do not have a parasitic draw on this vehicle at the moment. I checked. Right, we had a faulty battery and a faulty battery current sensor. That is causing the parasitic, not a parasitic draw, but the battery wasn't recharging. So the customer asked if I could check it out. So until next time, thanks for watching. Hope you like what you saw. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Any critiques, comments, drop it down below. Right, so and then next time, take it easy.